Hello everyone, welcome. Today we are going to see the SQL basic lessons on data definition language. Here we will understand the basics of data definition language used to create a tables or any database objects in SQL Server. We will see in detail use of create, alter and drop command. There are also two other commands which we will not be covering as a part of this training. Those are truncate and rename. To start with, let me just introduce myself. My name is Girish Kovilkar. I have over 16 years of experience in handling data, data engineering, data visualization using various technologies like SQL, SSRS, Power BI, ADF, and Microsoft Fabric. You can also find my detail over the LinkedIn channel on the given link. If you have seen, we have covered earlier about basics of SQL, relational databases, and data type and constraint. Today we will focus on data definition language and see how we can use those previous chapters over here, like data type and constraint. To start with, we will see the introduction to data definition language, which is DDL. Then we will see how we can create object using a create command. Later, we will see how we can modify an existing object using an alter command. And then we will see how we can delete the database object using a drop command. Later, we will see some of the best practices while you're designing a SQL database. Now, what exactly do you mean by data definition language? So, data definition language, in short, DLL, is a subset of SQL, which is structured query language, which focuses on defining and managing the structure of a given database. Unlike DML, which is data manipulation language, which deals with the data inside the table. DDL command are used for creating, modifying, and altering or deleting a database schema itself, such as table, indexes, schemas, functions, stored procedure, or views. So the primary purpose of DDL is to manage database structure. DDL commands are crucial for setting up an initial structure of a database and for making any structural change as per the requirement evolves. The common DDL commands we use are create, alter, and drop. So create is for creating an object. It can be a table, it can be an index, it can be a view. Similarly, alter and drop are alter is used for modifying the structure of a table or a view, and drop is used for dropping that particular object. There are two other commands which are not a part of this curriculum, which are rename and truncate. To start with, we will see what exactly do you mean by a create command. So the create command in a SQL is used to establish new database object. These objects can be included as table, indexes, views, schema. When you use the create command, you define the structure and the property of these objects so that they can be used to store or manage data in your database. Here is a basic syntax for creating a table. To create a table, we use create table as a keyword. Then we specify the name of the table. And then in the curly bracket or round bracket, we provide the column name with the data type. So the data type can be integer, varchar, or a boolean as well. And then we can define a constraint, whether it is allowing a null value, whether it is having a primary key, whether it is a check constraint. You can put any kind of constraint for that call. Similarly, you can define multiple columns in that statement, and then later on you can close the round bracket and the semicolon. Some of the statements or some of the DBMS provider, they do not recommend semicolon, but some of them are required. Like in MS SQL, semicolon is not required. You can just define a go statement. Or in Oracle or in MySQL, you have to specify the semicolon. To know a detail about a create table statement, let us see a scenario where we are going to store a customer data in customer table. So for this particular example, what we are going to do is we are creating a table as a name customer. And then we are creating the multiple attributes to be stored for the customer, which is customer ID as an integer, which is a primary key. Then we are storing first name as a varchar 50, last name as a varchar 50. Then we are creating email as a varchar 100, and we are defining it as a unique constraint. So here what we are going to do is we will not accept any users with the same email address if it already exists in the database or in this table. Then we have the registration date as a date column with a default constraint defined as the current date. In this case, it will store the current date whenever the data is going to be inserted without the registration date column. Now, what are the other database object you can create? First, we can create indexes. Why indexes are important? Indexes in the concept of database are used to improve the performance of queries by allowing the database to find rows more quickly. Think of an index like an index of a book. It helps you to locate information faster without going to each and every pages. They are particularly used for searching for specific row based on the column value provided. It can be also used for performing a sort operation or a select operation. The common syntax of index is create index as a keyword, and then you need to provide the index name, and then on again a keyword. After that, you need to provide the table name on which you're going to create the index, And later on, in the round bracket, you need to define on which column you're defining the index. It can be one column or it can be multiple columns, depending upon your requirement. So consider an example of a customer table where you need to create an index on a last name because the last name is used in the where clause more frequent. So in that particular example, you can create an index like, create index customer underscore last name on customers. And then in the column, you can specify the column, which is last name. Similarly, you can create views. Views are nothing but the virtual table that is based on the result set of the select query. Unlike physical table, views does not store any data in itself. Instead, it provides a way to simplify a complex query and to present data in a particular way. Views also help you to restrict the access to specific data by showing only certain columns or certain rows. They can represent data in a way that is different from physical schema, making it easier for user to work with. So the syntax of creating a view could be as create view as a keyword. Then you need to specify the view name as, and then you need to specify select column 1, comma column 2 from table name and where any condition whatever you have to specify. So let's take an example. If you want to create a view on a customer table who have been registered from 1st Jan 2024. So in that case, how you can do is create view underscore customer current year as select first name comma last name from customer where registration date is greater than or equal to 1st January 2024. So whenever you're creating that kind of view, you will get the information for that particular customer who are created in 2024. If you're going to use the view, you will be only see the data first name and last name. In summary, indexes and views can be created using the create statement. Also, we can create stored procedure, functions, trigger in the similar way. Now, let us see how we can change the database structure using the alter command. Alter command is a powerful tool used to change the structure of an existing database object. Normally, we do with the table. However, you can also use the alter command for modifying any stored procedure, function, or any view. This is particularly when you need to add new information or change existing information or remove any unnecessary information from an object. Here is an example for adding a column. So basic syntax is alter table is a keyword and then you need to specify the table name which you're going to alter. Then add again a keyword. After that, you need to specify the column name, a data type, and the constraint. If you see column name, data type, and constraint you have used while creating a table. So in the same manner, you can use over here. Similarly, what if you added a column and you find that you need to change its type? So how you can do is alter table, again a keyword, a table name, modify a column name, and a new data type. There can be a case where you want to delete the column. In that case, you can write alter table, table name, drop column, and the column name you want to drop. Here is an example on the alter table command. Take a case where you want to add a new field to the customer table, which is phone number. So how we are going to do is alter table, a keyword, a table name which is customer, then we are adding add as a keyword phone number with varchar 15. Now you think that after using this particular column, varchar 15 is not sufficient because sometimes user is entering multiple phone number while entering. So what you do, you modify that existing column by a alter statement. So how you are going to use is alter table, a table name which is customers, modify the column name which you want to modify, which is phone number, and then the varchar 20. If you see here, initially we use it as a varchar 15 and later on we modified the length of the column phone number to varchar 20. Now, there might be a case that you don't need that column anymore. For that particular case, you can just write a statement, alter table, table name which is customers, drop column and the phone number. With this statement, the phone number column will be dropped from the customer table. Now, in case you want to drop a particular object, you can use the drop command. But be sure while using a drop query, SQL permanently delete the database object from the database schema. So it could be a table, a view, or an entire database object. When you execute a drop statement, the specified object is completely removed from the database along with its data. This operation is irreversible. It means that once you delete or once you drop the object, it cannot be recovered unless if you took the backup. The basic statement of drop is drop object type and the object name. Object type can be a table, view, function, indexes. And object name will be the name of that particular object. Now, some useful tips before using a drop statement is it's irreversible. So before you using this statement, I would recommend to take a backup in case if you need the data to be referred later. Second, dependency. If you are aware, we have last time seen the dependency of primary key and foreign key. Please check before using a drop statement if there are any dependency, or what is the cascading effect applied while creating those dependency. It can be drop the table, or it can be remove the data. So it will automatically impact the dependency when you drop the table or any object. Third, cleanup. Dropping table or other object can be useful way to clean up your objects which are really not in use. Here is a scenario where you want to drop a particular table which is not required. So how we are going to use is drop table, again a keyword, and then the table name which is old customer. Similarly, we can use drop view and the view name, drop index and the index name. So any database object can be dropped using the drop statement. Here are some best practice that I would recommend you to follow. First, use descriptive names. Ensure the tables and name columns are descriptive so that they can be identified. For example, whenever you're storing a customer information, use customer. Similarly, whenever you're using a column to store the name, use name or nm. If you're using nm to store the name, you use the nm acronym across the database so that it will have uniform naming convention. Then integrity, data integrity. Check wherever you're possible to apply the data integrity using primary key foreign key constraint, unique constraint, check constraint, default constraint, or not null constraint based on your requirement. Third, make sure you take the database or table backup before you are modifying or deleting. It will help you in the disaster recovery plan. And at last, whatever command you are running, it is perfectly fine to run first on the development environment. Once it is tested, then only applies those changes to the production environment. To conclude, what we have seen is basics of data definition language, which is DLL. We have seen a create command, how we can use the create command for creating different database objects. We have seen alter command for modifying the objects. We have seen the drop command for dropping an unused object. And then we have seen the best practices. Just to provide you more resources and reference, you can go through the book called SQL in 10 Minutes by Sam Teach Yourself by Ben Forta. Or you can also check the Learning SQL by Alan. For SQL documentation, you can always refer the official SQL documentation site specified on DBMS provider like MySQL, PostgreSQL, or MS SQL. Any of your questions or queries, you can either comment on this video. I will try to answer as soon as possible, or you can email us at enquiry@skilleaseacademy.com. Okay then. Thank you everyone. Have a good day.